Woo!
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-hosts, Josh and John Luke.
That's me.
Sorry, it's Josh Luke and John Luke. We determined right before the stream.
Oh, yeah. Josh Luke sounds good.
The newest member of the Front Yard fam, Eagle Dan FF. And we've got a very special guest joining us today. He's an analyst at the Full Press Fantasy Podcast and going for two. Kyle Senra, what is up, my man?
Kyle? Hi, welcome. Happy Dominion Day, or Canada Day as it's more commonly referred to. Thanks for having me on to celebrate this special day. And great day podcasting. I know, my first time on Front Yard Fantasy. I know Dan has been part of going for two. Tune in later this evening to going for two 7:30. I'm doing part of my live stream on the Dynasty Gambit, and then I think is it 8:30 or 9 o'clock? Dan, you and Jay are going on for a podcast with Upside. 9
o'clock. Yes.
So you basically got a good solid 2.5 hours of fantasy football content tonight on the Going for Two Live network. So definitely check that out at Going for Two Live on Twitter. So yeah. Appreciate that,
man. That's a beautiful marathon right there. You get to watch Kyle over there for a little bit and then switch on over to Dan and Jay, and you don't even have to move or click anything, right? It's just going to show back up. It's on the Going for Two Live channel, so you'll be good to go. Guys,
I might even be on that, make a guest appearance on that Dan and Jay.
Teasers.
He's not.
Who knows? I'm joking. I'll never go on that. No, I'm joking. I'll be on that.
I'm double joking.
Got him.
Kyle, you alluded to it already, but today we are doing tiers, and our first tier list, we're continuing our PPR redraft wide receivers, but our second tier list, we are doing famous Canadians. So we have a list of famous Canadians, and before people riot, I know there's names I left off. Yes. There are so many famous Canadians, a ridiculous number. We were never going to get to all of them anyway, so I just had to pick some and put them on a list, and that's what we're going off of. There's a good mix. There's athletes, singers, actors, fictional characters, superheroes, just a bunch of different famous Canadians, and we're going to tier them for you. We got Sully himself, the Canadian, in here saying, "Oh, Canada, on vacation in my trailer in the mountains with horrible Canadian internet. I'll do my best to join you all. Don't screw this up."
Oh, man. Sure.
Greg said, "Oh, FYF, our home and native show." And then Josh said, "Josh in here. Okay, and I have a great time on vacation." Who's Rocky?
I said Rocky. I meant Sully. I corrected it in the next chat. I corrected it.
I think he's assuming he's in the Rockies, right? That's what you were.
Exactly.
Canadian.
He was in the mountains in a trailer. You know, it's same thing.
To be fair, Canada's huge. There's more mountains than just the Rockies.
I know a Rocky that's Canadian. Another Rocky.
Is that a dog?
I know two Rockies that are Canadian. Two, not a dog. You're talking about the Husky Rocky, yeah?
Yeah, Husky Rocky.
Yeah.
Jay Wall said tier time. Anthony said if Sully wasn't on the tier list, I'm going to effing riot. And Cal said Matt Donnelly better be on the list. And Sully said hang in there, internet. And Jordan said, anybody still thinking about the horse gift? Just me. It's okay. No, you have.
I haven't stopped thinking about it.
That's all that's been on my mind. Yeah, it dominates my life now.
It's imprinted on the back of my eyelids.
Kyle, did you see that yesterday? It was some of us were cowboys, some of us were horses, and we were all riding each other in a gift that Craig made yesterday. It was something else,
fantastic.
Something to be seen.
Fantastic. It was. I feel like if I did see it, I tried to erase it from my memory, so I don't have any recollection. But I don't. That's fair. That's fair.
I
don't want to think about it.
Probably smart.
I'll send it to you. Don't worry about it. Jay said Kyle is a company man, and Jordan said I put a video screen above my bed, and it's just playing on a loop.
That's what GIFs do. That's what GIFs do.
Jay said freezing, Simon, freezing. I meant exactly what I said, Jay. Exactly what I said. Guys, before we get started on our tier list, I want to remind everyone, if you want to watch our PPR wide receivers part 1 tier list plus some NBA logos tiers, you can find that on our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy, and hit that subscribe button. It means a ton to us, and you'll never miss another one of these shows again. Are you guys ready for some tiers?
Apparently, there's a monument in the Washington, the Washington logo NBA. So that's pretty cool.
Where you see? I'm not seeing anything. Oh, I was like,
that's
the
monument.
The Wizards. The monument.
Oh.
It's hidden in there, guys. It's hidden. Check out the last episode we talked about.
Mind blowing. That was
exactly
Illuminati.
Truly mind blowing. Okay. Did you say it wasn't that mind-blowing,
that
JL?
mind-blowing.
You're such a Debbie Downer.
It
What's
wasn't like
wrong
the
with
arrow
you?
in the FedEx logo. It's
JL,
like,
when someone comes
sense.
to when
It
someone
makes
comes
sense.
to you with they're excited about something, do you go, that's not that exciting? I
Yeah,
just want you to know that's a poor quality, and you should work on that. Feed into other people's excitement.
I want to check the tape because when that was pointed out last week, I'm pretty sure you raised your tier a little bit because of it. So I don't know.
if I did. Maybe I did.
We got to check
it. Blanket. That's what he is.
Kyle, we are going to start with you here. The players listed below that we're going to be talking about today. The options are AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, and Michael Thomas. Which one of these players would you like to talk about and tier first?
You're so polite to let me go first. I'm really bad at making decisions, so I'm going to rely on alphabetical order. We're going to go with Keenan Allen, although I do have a good argument for Keenan Allen where I'm placing him. Now, looking kind of at this, I do actually like what you've got so far as a tier 1, tier 2. And my thing with Keenan Allen is, last year got 100 targets from Justin Herbert, or did he catch 100 passes? I have to look that one up. It was one or the other. Either way, it's a good number. But he
had 100 catches last year.
He did. He had 100 catches, but didn't have 1,000 yards. So as much as we think, okay, Justin Herbert really explosive, it didn't really the yards efficiency really wasn't there with Keenan Allen. Now higher touchdown upside, but was that a fluky thing? Because that's not necessarily been Keenan Allen's career. It's similar to an Adam Thielen, actually. He had a really massive touchdown year last year when he has normally kind of been below the touchdown average. So it was last year a fluke with Keenan Allen, or is he going to revert back to who he was? But in both instances, his efficiency going down and then his touchdowns going up. Very strange. So it's difficult to know exactly. You still expect to get him a ton of targets, but last year, he wasn't the most efficient with those targets. So I think he's a clear tier below all the receivers already on the screen. So I'd nominate to put Keenan Allen in tier 3.
Keenan Allen in tier 3 from Kyle. Dan, what do you think about Keenan Allen?
I'm actually like Keenan Allen as a wide receiver 1 over there in LA. Kyle does make some really good points, though, with what he's saying. But I think that 3 may be a little too low for him. I still think that he's in that I think he's around like tier 2. He's in that. He's not the elite guy, like the 3 guys that we have up there so far. But I can't put him in tier 3 right now. I think he's still good enough to be in tier 2.
Tier 2 from Dan Swampson here says, "Who dat at work and I cry," and he gives a hi Dan to Dan. Shout out to Dan from Swamp. Dan. And I just wanted to give Craig the validation. Sully said, "Craig, that GIF is one of your best, and it's saying something as you are the GIF GOAT," and it definitely is. It's incredible. It's so good. And Sully said, "Oh, the Keenan Allen disrespect is alive and well." John Luke, where are you putting them?
Keenan Allen was fantastic last season. The last 4 seasons, he's been, I think, a top 14 fantasy asset. He's a top 14 fantasy wide receiver alone, which is incredible. Not a ton of stuff changed for him this year, so I'm gonna put him in tier 3 as well. Top of tier 3 though.
Tier 3 from John Luke. Josh, what about you? Where are you putting Keenan Allen?
I'm ready here in between you guys. I'm having trouble deciding between tier 2 and tier 3. He's somewhere in between there in my mind. I think I'm leaning tier 2. The end of tier 2 though. He's just going to be so good. He's going to grow with Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert's going to have just a more.
How tall are they going to get?
They're going to get very tall. Justin Herbert's already like 6'6", man. Keenan Allen, who knows? The sky's the limit. But Keenan Allen, I love him. I think he's going to be Justin Herbert's safety blanket the whole year. They lost some guys. They lost Hunter Henry. So I think Keenan Allen could really increase those yards this year. So let's go tier 2.
Tier 2 from Josh. So it looks like it comes down to me, and I really wish this wasn't the case because I'm sitting there right between tier 2 and tier 3. We've got 2 tier 3s, 2 tier 2s. Jail, I think you're right. As far as wide receivers that I view as like a very safe shot to be a wide receiver 1 this year that maybe people are overlooking, I think Keenan Allen's just about as safe as it gets to end in that top 12 wide receivers in that offense with Justin Herbert. Kyle, you made a good point. We don't know if the touchdowns are going to continue to fall that way, but maybe that's indicative of something with Justin Herbert, a connection that we didn't see previously. So end of tier 2, top of tier 3 is where I'm thinking Keenan Allen belongs, but I guess I'm going to go with tier 2. I'm going to go with tier 2, and that puts him at a 2.4, which lands him in tier 2 for Keenan Allen. Dan, you've got the next pick. Which of these players are we talking about next?
I'm going to go Calvin Ridley, please.
Calvin Ridley. That's an interesting one to talk about.
All right. So everyone knows Julio's gone, right? So
What?
last year, he's gone. I know, it's breaking news. I had to.
But Russell Gage is there, dude. Watch out.
Yes, actually, I'm a really big fan of Russell Gage. Actually, I think he's going to do really well there. They drafted Kyle Pitts, which he's the tight end one of all time. He's already a Hall of Famer. He's going to have an entire wing just for him. They're already building it as we speak. But I think that Ridley in that offense, he can definitely carry the wide receiver 1 workload. He was, I think, wide receiver 5 in PPR last year, and he's only 26 years old. I know this is redraft, but he's young. He has that great rapport with Matt Ryan. So I think this year he's going to be even better. So I'm pretty comfortable putting him in tier 1.
Tier 1, Dan agreeing with Anthony in the chat. Tier 1 for Calvin Ridley. Joshua, or no, sorry, I skipped you, John Luke. What do you think?
Classic. I think Ridley. I agree with what Dan is saying. I think Ridley has the opportunity to exceed what he did last season, which was very incredible, right? Like he had a great season. He did undergo a I believe a cleanup procedure, some foot procedure. He is supposed to be good to go for training camp, and so I'm not as worried about that. But I'm gonna put him in tier 2, the top of tier 2. I'm very excited for Ridley this year. I think he's just gonna get so many targets, and I hope that his targets in the red zone are even going to be higher this year than they were last year. Which is just going to make his upside so freaking high. Tier 2.
So freaking high.
So
I'll have you know, just as a counterpoint to what you said, I also just had a cleanup right before this stream, and I'm nowhere near ready for training camp.
Nice.
Just so
Tier
you know
6.
that tier. I think I need to go lower than tier 6, but don't drag Ridley down there too. Josh, we've got a tier 1 and a tier 2. Where are you going for Calvin Ridley?
Much like Keenan Allen previously, I am stuck in between tiers, but this time in between tier 1 and tier 2. I think I'm gonna lean tier 2 though. Yes, Sully. Yes, Ridley is 1.5 because I'm taking him above all the wide receivers in tier 2 right now and below all the receivers in tier 1 right now. So I like where our tiers are landing. I guess I'll put him at the top of tier 1. I mean, top of tier 2 for me. I think he's going to, have a really good season, but I do think Kyle Pitts is going to take away targets. He only had what he had like 90 catches last year. He had a lot of touchdowns. It makes me nervous just seeing that many touchdowns, not as many catches. Top of tier 2. I still love him on my fantasy team, but just a little bit lower than Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, and DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay, tier 2 from Joshua, and man, I hate agreeing with both of you, but I think Ridley's tier 2 for me, and not because I don't believe that he can't be like that top tier wide receiver. I think he's one of the few receivers that has that wide receiver number 1 overall upside, right? Like that upside exists for Calvin Ridley. I just want to see it. I don't feel safe in that. And that tier 1 for me is not just guys who have that upside. It's guys who have that upside and who I feel comfortable with. Like that's how I'm viewing it, where I feel real safety that they're going to do that this coming year. I feel comfortable with all 3 of those guys up there. Stephon Diggs the least. I think I did put him in tier 2 whenever we were going through it last week. But just like I put Diggs in tier 2 for that same reason, I'm going to put Ridley in tier 2. I truly think my tier 1 right now is only Hopkins and Hill. If Aaron Rodgers, if it's officially he's playing with the Packers, Adams moves up there. But until then, it's just those 2. So I'm going to go tier 2 for Ridley as well. Kyle, what say you about Calvin Ridley?
I think if my math's correct, it doesn't really matter even if I say tier 1. I think he still ends up in tier 2 anyway.
You could say tier 5 and really screw things up.
That's true. Yeah, the average would be
That's true. It does matter.
But I do want to, inform people of what I believe. But seriously, I think, I wonder if there is an expectation. Could Calvin Ridley be the number 1 overall wide receiver in 2021? I think he could, and I think the players who could theoretically, that extends into tier 2. So just the fact that you can answer yes to that question to me doesn't automatically put him in tier 1. I do worry a bit about Julio as a threat drawing away more than Kyle Pitts as a threat. I don't, as great as Kyle Pitts could ever be, he's probably never going to be as good as Julio. Let's just be honest, because most receivers will never be as good as Julio Jones. So
you could say Julio's the number one receiver of all time. You can make that argument. So absolutely, it's hard to say Kyle Pitts will be better. Right?
I'm on team Don Hudson for that, but but Julio's just that talented, right? So
exactly.
I wonder if, because Ridley already saw a lot of targets last year. I don't know that he's going to see a bigger target share. And I wonder just worse efficiency overall, worse efficiency for Matt Ryan. I look at the quarterbacks tied to those receivers in tier 1. Okay, Kyler Murray, maybe not the greatest thrower, but not the worst quarterback DeAndre Hopkins has ever had either. And he's clearly been able to make that work. So Hopkins is kind of this weird exception that he can kind of be in there regardless of quarterback. But then you've got Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen tied to Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs. I think there's a kind of a big difference there to what Matt Ryan's getting. So I'll say tier 2 for Calvin.
Tier 2. So that officially puts Calvin Ridley in tier 2, near unanimous. Dan believes in him a little bit more than us, I think. Put him up in tier 1, but I don't think any of us put him in tier 2 because we don't believe in him, just where he landed. John Luke, you're up next. Which player would you like to talk about? Actually, sorry, before we do that, you can answer the question first, but JL had a trade question for us. DeAndre Hopkins and Mike Evans, or Justin Jefferson and Devonta Smith in Dynasty. JL, what do you think here? Which side of this would you take?
Josh, you said this is easy?
It's a doozy. Doozy.
Oh, doozy. Oh, man.
Okay, I have an opinion. And I'm willing to get it out there. It's a dynasty league. Nuke and Evans, they're not old. I'm not saying they're old, but they're getting there. They're getting there, all right? It's hard to trade Evans right now. I'm telling you guys, it's really difficult to trade Mike Evans right now. Now, Justin Jefferson, he's the number 1 overall dynasty wide receiver, right? Right? I mean, pretty much everyone's putting
in some people's minds.
Yeah, top 3, top 5 at least. And Devonta Smith, I'm going to go that side just because of the youth. We haven't seen Devonta Smith. That scares the hell out of me. I love Nuke and Evans. This is like, if we were doing like poll perception, I'd say like 50-50.
If I'm competing,
Justin Jefferson, actually. If you're competing,
if I'm competing,
Nuke and Mike Evans.
Nuke and Evans. Like if you're going for a title this year, it's Nuke and Evans. Yeah. Like without question in my mind, you don't know what you're going to get from Devonta Smith in year 1. Nuke and Evans can help you win a championship right now. If I'm not competing, I'm going JJ and Devonta, without a doubt in my mind. For some more context, J.Will said I have AJ Brown, Higgins, and Metcalf, so I'd be locking my wide receiver core down for years by getting JJ and Kyle. What do you think?
Side.
You see, until Jay revealed that, I think I was leaning on the Jefferson Devontae Smith side, but you've already got a pretty young group there. Like I think the dip in production. I mean, okay, so who knows? Jefferson, Hopkins, maybe that's even a wash. They could produce pretty close to each other, but the dip in production potentially from Mike Evans to Devontae Smith.
That's true.
But the other thing about being a contender, though, I don't think selling away a guy like Mike Evans just because you're a contender isn't a mistake if you're getting a piece that you can use to flip.
Right.
The idea that Justin Jefferson is now the dynasty wide receiver 1, I'd like to know what the running backs are. Because I wonder if trading Justin Jefferson away gets a better running back, like a true running back 1, rather than a Nuke Hopkins right now, that age. I think what Josh was saying with the age is right. I think he likes what I'm saying right now.
I love what you're saying.
I don't know that Hopkins, if you wanted to go to a truly scarce piece, I don't know that Hopkins is going to net you as good a running back as Justin Jefferson will right now. So if I'm selling Nuke and Evans for this package, I'm looking to almost immediately flip maybe both. And I'm looking not at other wide receivers. I'm looking to get running backs, considering, again, A.J. Brown, Higgins, Metcalf, clearly not in the need of elite wide receivers. So Jay, I think so. Jay's saying has Nuke and Evans. Rather than Devontae Smith, can you get a running back? Can you get JJ, even if it's again, it depends on what the running back context is, but I think I'd rather, or even just a first, like a first next year, first in 2023. I think something more liquid than Devontae Smith, who, here's the thing, as much as people expect him to be the top receiver, top target on the Eagles, he's still, I think that the upside is capped because of his size. Not to be sizist or ageist here, but the dynasty perception of him, especially if this is a league where flipping is going to be constant thing, like you're constantly making trades. I don't know that Devontae Smith's ever going to reach the type of value that like alpha body wide receivers Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins have reached. So it's Yeah, Sanders, J-Rob, and Mostert. Yeah, so what I'm doing is, if you're going to sell Hopkins and Evans, it's to try and sell them for a running back. And if you can't, make this deal for Jefferson and try and flip him for a running back.
I like that. I like that, especially with the running backs that he's got. John Luke, which player would you like to talk about on this tier list?
Let's talk about Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson. Where are you tiering him?
I'm putting Allen Robinson in tier 3.
Tier
I'd put
3.
him right near Keenan Allen, which is I put him in tier 3. He's coming off a 150 plus target season this past year. I'm expecting more of the same, especially with Justin Fields. I'm a big believer in Justin Fields, and I think that he's only going to help Allen Robinson's value. I know, very hot take there, but I do believe that he'll be in earlier or sooner rather than later. He'll be the starter, and which I think is only going to bode well for Allen Robinson. So tier 3 for me.
Scott Fish said here. Done with the first game. He's just here. Present, Scott Fish, present. Well, you're tardy today. Try not to be tardy again tomorrow. Anthony said A-Rob 3. Good call. Josh, where are you putting A-Rob?
I agree with JL's analysis. I think he belongs in the 3rd tier. He's very close to the 2nd. I am a huge Allen Robinson fan, but it's just the supporting cast a little bit. I know he's kind of the only receiver. I know there's Darnell Mooney. People are getting really excited about him, but it's just really the supporting cast. And I know Justin Fields is projected, he's probably going to be the starter at some point during the season, but Andy Dalton they're saying is going to be the starter going into the season. He doesn't inspire a lot of confidence from me. I'll put him in tier 3.
Tier 3 from Josh, and I am actually a little bit surprised. I think Allen Robinson is very solidly in tier 2. Like I don't think it's close to tier 3 for me. Sully came in here and said exactly the point I was going to say. Whether Dalton or Fields starts, it's still the best quarterback Allen Robinson's ever played with. He was the wide receiver 9 last year in PPR, playing with that like messed up quarterback room. I have to assume Justin Fields and Andy Dalton are going to be able to get him the ball at least as well as the quarterbacks he played with last year, or as well as Blake Bortles, except that one year where it was absolutely bananas. He had like 14 touchdowns. But I am fully sold on Allen Robinson being a wide receiver 1. I don't see how his situation gets worse this year. I think he performs better. And like I said, he was the wide receiver 9 last year with Poop throwing him the ball. This year, Justin Fields should elevate that game. He's solidly a tier 2 receiver.
The Poop hyper targeted him.
Well, I assume he'll be hyper targeted again this year. Like I don't see that changing.
Dalton,
smarter, right?
I mean, if Dalton hyper targeted AJ Green, I mean, if he recognizes who's the and you could argue that maybe there was a deeper wide receiver field there. So yeah, I just because of that fact that no matter what, Robinson's getting the best quarterback play of his career. He's almost like a Hopkins, where he's kind of been able to do it. I'll go tier 2. I think I'm up, so I don't know if hopefully I didn't.
Yeah, you are.
Skip. I interrupted actually.
We've got 2 tier 3s and 2 tier 2s. Dan, it comes down to you. Where are you putting Allen Robinson?
So the past 2 years, he's had 154 and 151 targets. He's averaged 100. He's averaged 100 receptions. He's finished wide receiver 9 and wide receiver 7. So I don't know how much more he has to do to not be in tier 3. He's never had anyone next to him to take coverage off, so that's not changing anything really. So and like you guys said, he's going to get the best quarterback either way that he's ever been with. I mean, I'd solidly put him at the top of tier 2, maybe even at the end of tier 1, honestly, for how he's been performing, but definitely in tier 2.
It's great.
We've got 3 tier 2s and 2 tier 3s. That puts him solidly in tier 2. Allen Robinson is joining the mix here with Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, and Justin Jefferson. Joshua, which player would you like to talk about?
Yeah,
Jay's agreeing with you, Dan. It says,
oh my God, I changed my mind. He's tier 6. I lied.
And he also said, Dan, stop making good points.
I'm sorry. I'll make terrible points.
I love him. It's weird that I can't put him above any of the receivers on here. I just can't. But AJ Brown, let's talk about him. He's got Julio Jones joining him, which definitely drops him down a bit, right? It's a little scary, blah, 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 blah. They lost so many targets. AJ Brown's still going to have a fantastic year. I put him solidly in tier 2 for me. I personally would draft him ahead of the likes of probably Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, and Allen Robinson this year. And I know that's probably saying a lot, but let's see what you guys feel.
No, I completely agree with you. He was flirting with tier 1 for me before the Julio signing. Had he been like solidly tier 1, I don't think the Julio signing affects his value that much in my eyes. Like you said, they vacated so many targets this past year. There's still going to be plenty for both AJ Brown and Julio Jones. But he's that top of tier 2 kind of receiver for me. I think he belongs in that mix. Kyle, what do you think? We've got 2 tier 2s so far for AJ Brown and for redraft next year.
Yeah, I like a lot what you're saying. To me, I almost raise him, Julio getting there. I think he was going to, regardless of Julio Jones or not, he was probably going to see 30% target share or close to that, at least over 25% probably. And so I don't think it's really affected. Again, the opposite of what I was saying about Calvin Ridley, Julio comes there, less coverage could be now drawn towards AJ Brown. So I actually think he benefits from this because it was a pretty empty wide receiver room there. Like, we were waiting for someone to show up there and not affect AJ Brown. Might as well be someone that's actually going to be viewed as a threat and not have everything towards Brown. So I think both Julio and AJ Brown can coexist in that offense. I think Julio gets an upgrade at quarterback, so that'll help his efficiency probably, even though less overall targets. So I know we're not talking about Julio right now, we're talking about AJ Brown. I'm almost on the cusp of tier 1 because I'm thinking, okay, outside of maybe Adams with Rodgers. Well, actually, I do like Fields and Herbert's good, but I kind of feel like right now Tannehill's probably the best and most efficient thrower out of all those quarterbacks.
Efficient is definitely the word to use. Very efficient.
But you could also say the same thing with Kirk Cousins. I know we didn't place Justin Jefferson. While I am tempted to put AJ Brown in tier 1, I think I'm pretty uniform. Everyone here is tier 2. Like I think my tier 1 really does match that 3 of Hill, Hopkins, and Diggs. So I'm gonna stay true to that and put Brown at tier 2. But I would probably take Brown over everyone else in tier 2 right now.
So right at the top of tier 2 from Kyle. Dan, where are you putting AJ Brown?
Yeah, I'm also solidly in tier 2 as well. I mean, he already had over 100 targets last year. So with Julio coming, he's going to get some targets. I know a lot of targets left, but it still is a run-based offense that we have to remember. So how many more targets is AJ really going to realistically get? He'll probably get some more, obviously, but enough to make him jump him into that top tier? I don't think so. I mean, he was wide receiver 12 in PPR last year, and I just don't.
He dealt with injuries too. Though.
He did. Yeah. So I think that he's solidly at the top of tier 2 for me.
Another tier 2. We've got 4 tier 2s. JL, are you making it 5 or do you have him differently ranked?
I have him in tier 3 actually.
Tier 3.
Yeah, like Dan said.
Hey, we're separating these guys.
He only saw 106 targets last season, and so I'm not expecting. Everyone I think jumped to these conclusions like, okay, there's no one else there. He's going to get unlimited targets, and obviously with Julio there, that's not going to be the case. Jesus Christ, it's a gnat. It's harassing. Despite I don't think that anyone is illusioned by that anymore, but I still think that what Dan said is it's a run first offense. I would most likely take all of these guys on the board ahead of AJ Brown in redraft.
AJ Brown.
I see Jay is very upset with us. He realizes it's redraft, right?
Well,
I understand putting him in tier 1. I still understand putting him in tier 1. I'm just making sure.
Jay,
but it's funny because I think he would be.
What was that, Kyle?
Well, I was going to say, I guess he would be the in that tier anyway, the top dynasty, but I guess not because Justin Jefferson, as you mentioned, in some circles is viewed as the dynasty wide receiver 1.
In dynasty, AJ Brown and Justin Jefferson, tier 1, no doubt.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah,
probably Ridley as well would be up there in dynasty. I would think. Okay, guys, we are going to talk about one more player before we move on to our famous Canadians one, and I want to talk about Michael Thomas. Sorry, DK Metcalf, we are leaving you off for right now. I want to talk about Michael Thomas. I think the hate has gone too far. I think people are overreacting to the quarterback situation. Sean Payton, I've said this before, is a smart coach. He's going to figure out how to get the ball in his best players' hands, and that's Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. I'm not saying expect Michael Thomas at his peak with Drew Brees, but also don't expect what we saw last year. That's not what you should be expecting from Michael Thomas. I'm drafting every guy on the board ahead of him right now, but He's in tier 3. I don't think he belongs any lower than that. And I know some people want to just absolutely bury him. But I think Michael Thomas belongs in tier 3. And if Jameis Winston gets announced the starter, like he's officially starting, I think Michael Thomas belongs in tier 2 with these other names. He's only in tier 3 because I'm nervous that Taysom Hill might be starting, and that wouldn't be the best for him. So Michael Thomas tier 3 for me right now.
I'm actually
said Simon let PK off the show because he thought it was Tyler Lockett. Yeah, I'll never live that one down. That was bad. Okay, Kyle, what's up?
So I'm actually not afraid of Taysom Hill, at least not for Michael Thomas. I think that Taysom Hill probably affects Alvin Kamara much more if he is the starter. Running quarterback, less prone maybe to dump down. And one thing that's helped Alvin Kamara be so productive is 80 catches every season. I think that could be threatened because, from a wide receiver perspective, you just take away that, just wide receiver tight end perspective, who even comes close to Michael Thomas's talent? Regardless of Winston Hill, I think they'll both hyper target Thomas. So I'm fine putting him in tier 2. It doesn't matter what the quarterback situation is. I think he's maybe the only player that's least affected by that. I'm much more scared with Kamara in that instance.
Cal's reiterating what you said. MT's target share with Taysom was insane. So what tier are you putting Michael Thomas in?
Tier 2.
Tier 2 for Kyle. I'm not scared of the
big tier 2
Taysom Hill start. Yep. So I said tier 3. Kyle says tier 2. Dan, where are you putting Michael Thomas?
I'm a little bit more worried about Taysom than Kyle is. I think that, if people have a chance to game plan for him being the guy at quarterback, it's going to be a little bit different than him coming, as more of a change-up kind of guy. I don't think Michael Thomas is going to be anywhere close to where he was with Drew Brees, because Drew Brees is just a much better quarterback, obviously, than Taysom Hill is. However, his talent is, unquestioned, and the target share he's going to be getting is, no one cares about Traquan Smith or anyone else that's on offense except maybe Kamara. But so I put him solidly at the top of tier 2.
At the top of tier 2?
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be honest. Through Michael Thomas's career, Drew Brees really hasn't been that good. So I don't think it's a massive downgrade.
He can only throw 20 yards like the last
if this was 2009 Drew Brees, imagine if Thomas played with Brees back in 2009 Drew Brees, that would be an insane ceiling. So I almost think at times Drew Brees limited Michael Thomas and he was still able to produce. That's why I'm not worried at all. Yeah. I think Drew Brees is basically an accumulator. He's never really that great in his career, just good at accumulating a ton of stats. So I don't know if there's a ton of Drew Brees hate, but I think he's
accurate.
People talk about him as a top 5 all-time quarterback. That just blows my mind. I can't even put him in the top 10 all time. So I've gone through that ranking. Even top 15 is a stretch. So it's just, I don't think it's that amazing. So I don't think it's that much of a downgrade. Although both those quarterbacks really aren't that good. But
yeah,
again, I just think yeah.
Dale, are you worried about the quarterback situation, or where are you tiering Michael Thomas?
I'm putting him in tier 2 as well. Michael Thomas is dealing with a high ankle sprain last season. People don't realize that is a lot worse than it sounds. Plenty of these athletes have dealt with this high ankle sprain before, and it's truly debilitating. It's not easy injury to fight through. I completely agree with what Kyle said. I think Michael Thomas, before he was viewed as this uber safe wide receiver, this fantasy asset. We might not have that safety with Taysom Hill. There's a question mark, but I don't think that should scare you away from drafting him. I think he's a great value this season.
So tier 2?
Tier 2.
Tier 2 from JL. Josh, what about you?
He's at the end of tier 2 for me. I would draft, I believe, everyone else in front of him, but I still love Michael Thomas's talent.
Michael Talent.
Exactly.
Michaal Talent. Love his Thomas.
Just brought up. So I'd rather have Jameis Winston as the starter, but Taysom Hill, he had 37 and 38 attempts his last 2 starts. And I think the big part is Sean Payton's going to have a whole offseason just kind of figuring out things he wants to do without Drew Brees. And I love the point that Kyle made. I don't think that Drew Brees was all that amazing throughout the last few years of his career. I think Michael Thomas is a great elite talent, but he is, getting a little older. It was a little scary to see what he did last year, but I think it was largely in part because of the high ankle sprain. Michael Thomas, tier 2. He should have a great season still. You should.
Okay, tier 2. That puts Michael Thomas squarely in tier 2.
So
Cal
we're
agrees
just unable to tier anyone outside of tier 2 today.
Nope. We'll see. We'll see if we can
All
get
tier
anyone
2.
outside of tier 2 tomorrow.
I think that's fair. Wide receiver really is that type of flat tiering. Like I'm kind of anti wide receiver in the first round because of this, because I don't think one of them is worth taking in the first round because they're all sort of a big mismatch. If it's super flex, it's quarterback. If it's not, it's running back or tight end. But I really, if there's a one wide receiver I'm fading, it's whoever the wide receiver one is, because generally that player doesn't pay off on that the next season. So
I would also say if we put Allen Robinson or like someone else in tier 3, I would have been more inclined to put Michael Thomas in tier 3 with him. But then we're really splitting hairs. I like what we did here. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And J-Wall says we don't need to talk about Tyler Lockett. Just throw him in tier 1. Thanks, J-Wall. I appreciate that advice. Guys, we have another tier list to get to today. We are doing famous Canadians for Canada Day today. And I just want everyone to know I took some liberties. I went ahead and tiered 2 of the Canadians ahead of time. You'll see it whenever I pull it up. If anyone just really disagrees, we can change it. But 2 of the Canadians are already on the tier list. In our S tier, we're starting off with Roto Heat Sully and Toronto Dave sitting in the S tier. Our favorite Canadians sitting up there. Anyone have any vetoes for Sully or Dave up there in the S tier?
I'm full on Dave being an S tier. Dave's an awesome guy. I don't know Sully all that well, but he has S in his name, so it actually makes sense that he's in the S tier. And he's a Canadian, so I guess it's like they're all Canadian. So
they're all.
I guess my question is, can we put them above S tier?
S plus.
That's the top.
Yeah.
And Sully
T
said,
tier.
Anthony said, "A." Or is that A? And J-Wall said, "Good, very good." Okay, good. Kyle. We're gonna come back to you. I can zoom in on this list if you want to see some of these names. But again, I'll let you pick which Canadian you want to talk about first, and then we can go from there.
TIERS Phillips. That's funny.
Oh, is that just Deadpool?
Yeah, he's
I thought
Canadian.
I saw Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds, right? Like
they're both Canadian.
Oh, that's hilarious, actually.
Yeah, they should really be the same. But I'll go reverse alphabetical order and start with Neil Young, actually, who's right there in the middle. That's him when he was young as well.
Young Neil Young.
Yeah, truly, I think one of the greatest songwriters ever. And magical lyrics at times. I think his ability to kind of fuse genres, right? I mean, he's not just a folk kind of countryish singer. He basically invented grunge music, right? Like I know a lot of the grunge bands in the 90s really pay homage to some of the stuff he was doing, the Rust Never Sleeps and those types of performances. So I think I'm willing to go S tier for Neil Young just because he's that influential. So that's mine.
I love you, Kyle. Dan, where are you putting Neil Young?
I love you, Kyle.
I'm just going to agree with Kyle. Everything Kyle said. I can't say anything more than that, honestly.
We've got 2 tier S's. Sorry, go ahead,
Kyle. No, I absolutely agree with Kyle.
Tier S from both Kyle and Dan. John Luke, where are you putting Neil Young?
Neil an A.
An A. That's disrespectful. Josh.
So listen. This is my personal opinion, right? I like Neil Young a lot. I never really got into Neil Young, so I was just jamming out to some Neil Young last night with my mom and stepdad. Yeah. We were listening to Neil Young. In preparation for this show. We knew it was Canada Day coming up. But for me, I'm going to put him in A. I know it's disrespectful, blah, 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 but it's just...
You stand by it, Josh. It's not disrespectful. It's not disrespectful.
He's going to end up in S anyway.
It's disrespectful for saying disrespectful.
No, it's wildly disrespectful to put such an influential musician anything lower than S tier.
You're the moderator.
Wait, actually, it's my turn, and I'm not impartial.
That's so funny.
Neil Young belongs in tier S.
Tier A.
He is tier S. Forget the tier A. Anthony said, bro, put on Ohio by Neil Young right now. Even then, Josh, I guarantee you're listening to music inspired by Neil Young. Like Kyle said.
All right, I'm changing mine to tier B. Just because Simon's being such a baby about it.
He's winding up
and he's getting lower. Tier B for me, baby.
That actually might change things.
I'm going to end him up in tier A.
Are you really moving it or no?
Yeah. I'm moving it.
Okay, that's very funny, JL. I'm really
I
laughing.
don't think it changes.
I think that
Does it
because
It
you
does
round
change
up,
it. It moves them down to A because it's
It does?
1.6 now. instead
Unbelievable.
of- Yep.
Fine, you can change it back.
I'm saying
He's
all
so
that
mad
one.
down there. Look at him.
Well, you're just being a dick
Dude,
just to
all
be a
that
dick to me. Dan, where are you going?
Can we go? Let's do a Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Where are you tiering
I can
Jim
see this
Carrey?
being kind of.
If Jim Carrey is anything other than S tier, this entire list is a joke. Honestly, he has so many good movies. He has The Mask, Ace Ventura, Mr. Popper's Penguins, The Truman Show. I can spend.
I've
all
never
day
seen
listing
Mr.
those.
Popper's Penguins, by the way.
Oh, you should. It's a very
All
cute
right,
movie.
I'll check it out.
I
Yeah.
actually thought it was pretty decently funny for a kids movie.
Yeah.
so.
Very cool.
Bruce Almighty, his career has spanned 2 decades, 3 decades. It's a lot. So he's basically the premier funny guy actor of most generations. So tier S has to be.
S tier from Dan. John Luke, where are you putting Jim Carrey?
He's not just the funny man either. He's so versatile. He's one of the best method actors of our generation. So S tier.
Another S tier. Josh, where are you putting Jim Carrey?
I feel like I'm actually really just disrespecting Neil Young because I'm gonna put Jim Carrey in S tier. And I just know Neil Young deserves to be above Jim Carrey. So like I feel like I'm really doing something dirty here, but I'm still gonna do it. I love Jim Carrey. I love his movies. Bruce Almighty, Ace Ventura. I grew up with that movie. Jim Carrey all the way. Let's go.
S tier for. So that's 3 S tiers so far, right?
Yes.
What is the one like very serious movie by Jim Carrey?
Cable Guy?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
That is
Great.
a great movie.
Fantastic movie.
It's kind of messed up though. And I remember my dad was visiting San Antonio last Christmas, and he'd been on like a Jim Carrey movie kick, and he looked at me and he goes, Jim Carrey's been in some fucked up movies. And I was like, like what, Dad? And he looks me dead in the eyes, and I'm expecting him to talk about like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Or if he looks at me, he goes, I watched a movie last night where he lived with like 10 penguins. He referred to Mr. Popper's Penguins as a fucked up movie.
What movie? What's the movie where he doesn't know he's living in a fake world? That movie's
Truman
Show.
Truman Show. Yes, Truman
mentioned.
Show. Oh yes. Let's go.
Do you not like my story,
number 23
JL?
was serious.
I'm putting him in S tier as well. Kyle, where are you putting him? JL did not like my story. Rolled his eyes at me after I was done.
I guess
with it.
it's funny. I guess I'm the
Roll
Jim
my
Carrey
eyes.
hater. I'll go A tier because A is for actor, S for songwriter, singer. So, like, I feel like alphabetically makes sense. Music over movies, but Jim Carrey's incredible. So, I don't like actors. So for me to say A tier for him, it shows how good he is. The Cable Guy is my favorite Jim Carrey movie, so I'll just shout out that one. But
There's just so many to name. There's just so many.
Also, Jay, bringing up In Living Color, Jim Carrey on In Living Color. Fire Marshal Bill is one of the funniest.
I've never
characters
seen
he's
it.
ever. Oh my God, he plays a fire marshal who just like comes in and gives lessons, but blows everything up and catches everything on fire. It's too funny. He comes in, he goes, "Let me tell you something,"
check it out.
and then it's really funny.
Thanks, Sully.
John Luke. It is your pick next. Who do you want to talk about?
Let's see. Kyle's nailing this. Scott Fish said if Neil Young is S, Carey should be triple S. Apparently, the goal of today's show is no one below an A tier on either.
Don't
tier.
worry.
That's very true.
I fully
think we're gonna
plan
get
on
there.
bringing someone up who I want in F tier.
I'm with you, Scott. Jim Carrey should be at least 3 times Neil Young, whatever that is.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
All right. Next, let's talk about Drake. Drake is S tier. I feel like it needs no explanation.
JL says Drake in S tier. Josh, where are you putting Drake?
It's hard to talk crap about Drake, really. Like, I mean, like, it's not hard. A lot of people do it, but he has put out so much good music, good songs that the general population just loves, right? I'm going to put him in A tier. I can't put him in S because I just don't like him as much as, I should put him in B tier, really. But just the quantity he has put out, I got to put him in A.
We got an A from Josh, an S from John Luke, and I'm going to agree with Josh here today. I love Drake, but He doesn't have that level of influence that someone like Neil Young has, so he's going to be a tier below him. And that's
He's younger.
Well, still, that helped Neil Young that he had that time to get that kind of influence. Time will tell if Drake moves up into tier S. But people generally age at the same rate, so we're gonna have to wait a couple years to see if that happens. Tier A for me. Kyle, where are you putting Drake?
Who's better, Kenyan or rapper Drake?
Rapper.
Kenyan.
Rapper. Drake.
No, I think it'd be rapper Drake. Sorry, Kenyan Drake. But so this is I'm a little stuck. I was maybe thinking B tier. The fact that he is an employee of the Toronto Raptors though does kind of help. So I think the point was made. Great catalog, great music. Is that because of him? Not. I mean, I think he's brilliant because he puts himself with a lot of great producers. So he's really smart in that. Like he's choosing who to work with, and he's working with good people. So he does get credit in that sense. But because it's not all him, like he's not Kanye Westing it, where he's like making the album all himself, right? Like I can't put him in S tier for that. But I think a solid A for me.
Another A. So we've got 3 A's and an S. Dan, where are you putting Drake to wrap this up?
Can I just point out the analysis that everyone ages at the same rate is exactly why everyone watches this show? I thought that was amazing.
It was pretty funny. That was really good.
I've been spending months on that piece of analysis.
Great
Jay
analysis.
Drake S easy, and Sully said Drake C at best. Our Canadian doesn't want to claim him any higher than C. Dan, where are you putting him?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Kyle said. I think he's worked with some amazing producers, not taking anything away from his talent because he is really talented. I just think he isn't that kind of transgenerational talent that we'll be talking about like Neil Young. So I'm going to put him in tier B actually.
Tier B from Dan. So we've got 3 tier A's, a tier B, and a tier S, but that puts it clearly in tier A. Exactly average of A. Josh, which Canadian do you want to talk about next?
It feels kind of like the low-hanging fruit to talk crap about this guy, but I'm going to do it. Justin Bieber. I can't think of a Justin Bieber song that I actually want to listen to. I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry if you guys like him. He's going pretty low for me. He's going F.
F
as low as you can go.
Josh from Justin Bieber.
I thought about D for a second. I thought about D for a second.
I'm going to very, very much disagree with you, Josh. Justin Bieber was plucked out of Canada as a child by Usher, and it is very difficult to transition from child star into adult star. And he had some very rough years where he didn't, but he has found his own. He is, whatever your opinions are on religion, he's found joy and faith for himself, and it's become a big part of his life. His music, he's found a renaissance in and finding himself, and that dude has the voice of an angel. I don't care what you say. Bieber can sing. He's up there with Drake for me. Justin Bieber's tier A. I really appreciate that he's been able to work out himself as an adult. Sully agrees with Josh though, says Bieber is F, working on having him deported.
It's a grassroots movement. It's like you've got the paperwork going, you're trying to get petitions signed.
But Tim agrees with me. He says JB puts out nothing but bops, you heathen.
I just can't think of one song I want to listen to right now.
Well, I can think of one.
What's your girl?
Love Yourself, right? I remember listening to that song, and that was the first time I thought, okay, I can actually enjoy Justin Bieber's music, but I haven't really heard that many songs like that by him. So I am closer to Josh's side, and I almost agree with Sully in that I feel like Justin Bieber is more liked in America than in Canada. We don't really want him as Canadian, right? The way he acts, at least here's the thing with Drake. Drake has sort of made Toronto this epicenter of music, right? He has done so much for the city of Toronto and for Canada in general. Bieber, his attitude and his behavior is just really disgusting, really not a good ambassador at all. So I think the song "Love Yourself" puts him in D tier for me, but other than if it wasn't for that one song, he would definitely be an F. So I'm saying D.
I just got to defend modern Bieber isn't doing that awful stuff that
You're right.
teenage beat
that we know of.
No,
because let's
plot thickens.
Hey, 6 months ago we thought Deshaun Watson was a model citizen.
Well, I just want to say we could then say that about every single person on this list. That's not fair. I'm going based off what we see.
We have a history.
Going based off what we see. So we've got an A, an F, and a D right here. Dan, where are you putting Bieber?
I absolutely hate that Georgia Peaches song. I hate it. It has ruined my life. He's an F. If it were any lower than F, I'd put him lower than that. He is an F at the back of F. F.
F, and more F from Dan. John Luke, where are you putting him? We've got an A, a D, and 2 Fs.
He's a D. He's fine.
Man, you guys,
he's
are
he's nothing special. He's nothing special to me.
He's over commercialized nonsense.
I'm not gonna hate him because he's super popular and stuff, but he's not significant to me.
Okay, well that puts him in tier D. I think my A carried him up a little bit. 2 Ds, 2 Fs, and an A. Beiber ends up in D. Tim said unfollowed. Jay said you guys are haters. I completely agree with them. You guys are a bunch of haters.
I am.
But it is my turn to pick who we want to talk about.
It's true.
And,
I
want to talk about.
I'm trying to hide it.
This lady right here.
This lady right here.
I don't even know who that is.
Seth Rogen.
Arms of an angel.
Oh Lord.
Fly away from here. Every person watching just saw sad puppies in their mind. It ruined their day. Sarah
it's
McLachlan,
horrible.
you cannot
Sarah
say her
McLachlan,
name
yeah.
without thinking of those horrible ASPCA commercials that just like ruin you from the inside, make you feel guilty for not having 100 dogs. F Sarah McLachlan. You ruin my day every time I hear that song. Kyle, where are you putting her? I think she's a fine person.
You sung that
beautiful. I mean, here's the thing. Like, it's funny because
I just put her in there already.
I'll be honest. I don't think Drake's that talented. Like, I think Justin Bieber and Sarah McLachlan are probably more talented than him.
You're wrong.
But again, Drake with that less talent has probably done more than them. So, but yeah, I think Sarah McLachlan definitely better than Justin Bieber. I like some of her music. I'd go B for her.
We've got a B, an F, and a B. Dan, where are you putting Sarah McLachlan?
Listen, Sarah McLachlan is an advocate for all those puppies. No one would give a shit about them if it wasn't for her. She's an S tier.
I dispute that. I give a shit about puppies without Sarah McLachlan singing.
I don't know if you do. How many
I don't
times
think you
have
do.
donated?
I don't think you do. I think if you didn't see that commercial, you wouldn't care at all. I think you're lying.
Just because you have a puppy doesn't mean you've donated to ASPCA.
Dan said I cared about puppies, which I do. JL, do you care about puppies?
I do.
Have you donated to ASPCA?
I have.
Okay.
See that?
Well, I'll do a caveat here.
Backfire.
I haven't donated to ASPCA, that specific organization, but I have donated to Barks, which is a local one around
So
here.
you lied.
I'm gonna
Got
allow
it.
it.
JL, where are you? JL the
Same
liar, where are you putting Sarah McLachlan?
Same as Justin Bieber. I think about her very little on a day-to-day basis. D.
And Anthony said, actually hearing you sing out of key ruined my day. And Jay said she's F tier because of that commercial.
You're F tier because of yourself, Jay.
So we've got an F, a B, an S, and a D. Josh, where are you putting it? All of us have put her in a different tier so far.
The most polarizing one so far.
No, she is polarizing because like those commercials, they do make you feel something, but like that's the whole point. It's the whole point, you know. I like what Dan said about that. I hate seeing them. I think I put her in a B tier.
A B tier. So that I have no idea what this is coming out. This comes out to C. Sarah McLachlan ends up in the C tier.
Higher than Justin Bieber. That's all I care about.
That's all of that. And Kyle, we are back to you. Sully said Simon started singing. I thought it was someone's birthday. Yeah, maybe I'll start singing Sarah McLachlan songs on people's birthday. Kyle, who do you want to talk about next?
I mean, we've gone other than Jim Carrey, we've done, and I guess he's sometimes sings in his movies, but we've basically gone all musicians.
Yeah.
I love music so much that I want to keep that going. So I will put in my write-in that I requested here, Gord Downie from the Tragically Hip. Truly. And I mean, I don't know how popular. Like, first off, I'll ask you for it. Have you ever heard of the Tragically Hip or any of their songs?
I have not
Heard of them,
Nope.
but I've never listened to them. Like, I know that's a band, but I couldn't even tell you what genre of music.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh no.
Sorry.
I was grabbing my phone to look him up.
So Kyle, here's how this is going to work. Kyle, you get to tier this guy all on your own because it would be not fair of us to throw him in a tier. Yeah, we have done this.
And I mean, like, all due respect to Sully and Dave, who are right now at the top of S tier, like above Neil Young, above Jim Carrey, definitely have Sully and Dave there. I think I got to put Downie even above them. Like, I mean, Sully's saying it, right? Canadian icon, plain and simple. So the Tragically Hip, a band formed in the mid 80s. And their sound can kind of be described as sort of a little bit of aspect of country rockish, like, like I guess what people kind of view as CCR in that sense, but a lot more experimental and frankly weird and strange at times. But that's part of the charm of the Tragically Hip. There's a lot of like songs about Canadiana and in Canada in general. And so from a Canadian perspective, like, people in Canada love Tragically Hip. Like they're viewed as one of the most iconic legendary bands in the history of the country. And but obviously, again, not all that popular outside of Canada. So yeah, S tier for sure.
S tier. We're gonna go ahead and put them up in S tier.
And hopefully,
someone to listen to one song. What is it?
One song.
Anthony said, "Which song should I listen to?"
Yeah, give us all one song.
I want to check them out after this too. So
yeah, if it's bad, he's going
one song. Well, okay, so I think probably
if you have to.
Well, okay, so I think maybe I'll stick with a more popular single. So I'll say the song New Orleans is Sinking, and this was recorded in like 1989, so obviously way before Katrina. So it's not, but I think it's about that idea, because I mean, like if you look at like when the levee breaks, right, like that idea of New Orleans could eventually potentially sink was kind of always a fear people have been having for well over a century. And I mean, unfortunately, 2005, it kind of the worst fears came to fruition. But it's funny that, I talk about this band being so much about Canada, and one of the songs I say is about the city in America. Awesome. But actually, they become somewhat popular in New Orleans as a result of that. I know they recorded their second album down in New Orleans. Most of their stuff's been recorded in Canada, but that's maybe a song that maybe more accessible to get people into them. So I'll say that one in the hopes that people listen to New Orleans is Sinking and then discover further hip songs.
Finding the Hip. How about that one?
Sully said finding the hip will be the best part of your day. I think he's just saying like finding the Tragically Hip.
Finding the Hip. I get it.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, constantly referred to as the hip. Never, who wants to say tragically every time? It's too many syllables.
I do. That's a beautiful word. Dan, we're going to go through one more round. We all have to rapid fire through these. Dan, which Canadian would you like to talk about next?
I would like to
who is that one guy?
Good guys left.
With my nerddom and go Wolverine, please.
Wolverine. Wait, yes. Jay, which guy are you, or Jail, which guy are you referring to?
The bottom row, second from the left.
Oh, Jared Kiso. Jared Kiso.
I have no idea who that is.
I didn't actually know his name.
I have zero idea. I've never seen that person in my life.
If we're being honest, I just Googled Wayne from Letterkenny and put him on the list.
I did not know his actual name. So are we going off Wayne? Okay, never mind. It's not even.
You can do Wayne or Jared Kiso, whatever you want to do. But we're talking about Wolverine. Where are you putting Wolverine, Dan?
So Wolverine is one of my personal favorites. He grew up in Canada. His girlfriend got killed, moved to the U.S., got experimented on. He basically every man, drinks, cusses, is always willing to put his life on the line for his friends. He's basically the Stone Cold Steve Austin of mutants. He's an S tier for me. Thank you very much.
S tier. Dan with what a pitch for Wolverine. JL, where are you putting Wolverine?
He's a B for me.
B.
You're a
from
B
JL.
from JL.
Josh, where are you putting?
He's not bad. He's good.
In terms of like superhero ability, he's awesome. He's amazing. I really like Wolverine. You got Hugh Jackman part of that whole persona, right? I'm gonna go A. I'm gonna go A with Wolverine.
Hugh is Australian, so totally different.
Well, I
totally
know,
different nationality.
But you got the whole thing going on, right?
Yeah.
Dan, I got ripped to shreds during the superhero tiers whenever I didn't put Wolverine in S tier.
Fun?
Just absolutely.
Is that wordplay?
What? Oh, I didn't
wordplay?
even mean to. Yeah, I got ripped to shreds. I didn't mean to do that. Just like literally.
I like what you did there. We're gonna pretend you knew what you were doing, and you did it on purpose.
I'm gonna put him in S tier. I agree with what you said, Dan. I did some research after that show to see if I was wrong, and it turns out I was. Kyle, where are you putting Wolverine?
I'm a big Cyclops fan, so their rivalry almost wants me to put him in A tier, but I also have tremendous respect for Wolverine, so I will say S tier. S superhero, right?
It's S.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Thank you, Kyle.
Well, we've got 3 S's, an A, and a B, and that actually puts him in A tier. The B was enough to drag him down to A. So Wolverine ends up in A tier with Drake.
Gotcha. I thought there was 2 A's.
Cool.
No, that makes I like him in A.
JL said B, and it moved him down to the A tier. Anthony wants to know who pissed in JL's Cheerios this morning. And Jason, JL, why are you the way you are?
Wolverine.
That's why he's in B tier.
Yeah, I came in and peed right in my Cheerios.
Mr. Cheerios, who would you like to talk about next?
All right,
At least
next.
he didn't Hugh Jackman in your cereals.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Next, I want to talk about Michael Cera. Michael Cera
I was
is
actually
a
going to bring him up myself.
gosh darn national treasure for Canada, and I feel like I can say that as a resident neighbor of Canada.
Jay quits.
It's Michael Cera. He is an S tier.
S tier for Michael Cera from John Luke. Josh, where are you putting Michael Cera?
Michael Cera is the epitome of a B or a C type.
Since he's never advocate for himself, I need to advocate for him.
A B or C. I'm going C. I'm going C just because of it, JL. Yeah, he's a epitome of just like an average ass mother person.
What?
Average ass. Okay, you heard it here.
Your father person.
Mother person.
Direct quote from Josh. Average ass mother person is Michael Cera. So
if we put all superheroes in S, then he needs to be up there because he's Scott Pilgrim. So
get him out of here.
I almost put Scott Pilgrim on the list as well because Scott Pilgrim is also Canadian individually. Like he is Canadian. Yeah. But we're gonna go based off Michael Cera. And you know what? Like I'm conflicted because I love every movie I've seen with him in it, but I've hated every interview I've ever seen with him in it. Like he is the most uncomfortable interviewee ever, like period. I don't think there's a more uncomfortable human. But that's kind of charming. So I'm going to put him in S tier. I think it's funny that he's reached that level of fame and can't conduct an interview properly. Like that's hilarious. He's S tier for me. Kyle, where are you putting Michael Cera?
I put Jim Carrey at A, and I think he's a tier above acting wise than Michael Cera. So I'll put Michael Cera in B. The Scott Pilgrim thing does give him points, but and he was decent in Juno, but ultimately
so good.
I don't really like a lot of his roles. I've never seen Arrested Development, so that hurts the argument too, but Michael Cera is B for me.
You ever seen Youth in Revolt?
No.
Oh, go watch.
I have seen Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. That's the other one.
Also very good.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie so much.
True. I forget he's in Superbad. That's right.
I hate you.
It's pretty indie. Not sure if you've heard of it.
That's true. I forgot about Superbad.
I love the explanation.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Dan, where are you putting Michael Cera?
All right, so I think Michael Cera is a poor man Jesse Eisenberg. He's the worst part of Scott Pilgrim. I hate JL.
Get out of here.
F. Oh,
no. Poor man Jesse Eisenberg. Oh.
That's what I think.
F from Dan. So that puts him in B.
Wash your mouth.
That's what Michael Cera averages out to is B. And guys, I just want you to know there's an Atlanta-based band that I've seen live a couple of times called Michael Cera Palin. And I have like every time I say Michael Cera now, I want to say Palin right after. Like it's just in my brain, like Michael Cera Palin. That's just like one word, but I know it's not. Jason, Dan put him in F to pay back for Wolverine. That's my co-host. I love you, Dan. And then Scott said, if you put all these tier letters in a random generator and selected each person's tier randomly, would the bracket be about as good, worse, or better?
It would be a lot worse.
Only for the chat to answer.
Yeah. Who did we just put Michael Cera in? Josh, I believe that's your pick then.
No, yes, you are correct. And I am going to go with one of my favorite actors of all time and my personal man crush. The reason I love Canadians.
Yeah, one of those three.
No, I'm joking. Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds all day. He's so
weird
witty.
Picture of him.
He's so cool. He's everything. He's the whole package. He's S tier for me, guys. Like when I think of Canada, I think of him. So like he's doing you guys good.
Why does he look like he's holding in a fart? Why does it look like he's holding in a fart?
It is a weird picture of him.
Because I Googled Ryan Reynolds holding in a fart to get that picture.
That makes
sense.
We've
got one S tier for Ryan Reynolds. I really like Ryan Reynolds. I'm just not going to put him in S. I'm going to put him in A. That's where he belongs for me. I think he's great, but that's not good enough for S tier. Kyle, where are you putting Ryan Reynolds?
A for actor. I mean, to me, him and Jim Carrey, he and Jim Carrey both being an A, though, seems right to me. So I'm putting.
I don't think you're following your own rules here, Kyle. Michael Cera's not an A.
Correlation.
Yeah, but he's not as good of an actor as them.
Oh, get out of here! You didn't say A for good actors.
He's B for bad actor. JL.
You're B for bad joke.
Yeah, true. We've got an S and two A's. What about you, Dan?
I have to point out that he's probably looking like that because he saw a Michael Cera movie. He's an S tier.
Scott's really disparaging himself, saying people will say I look like Ryan Reynolds.
I think he
burned in the beginning of Deadpool version, but I'll still take it. I see.
Still Ryan Reynolds. Still Ryan Reynolds.
National treasure, Ryan Reynolds.
Whose vote is it? It's JL's vote, right? Yep.
JL,
Joe,
yeah.
where are you putting Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds deserves to be wherever Michael Cera is, so he's B.
Okay. I love JL's like spiteful tier places. So that brings him out to a 1.8, which is A. Ryan Reynolds ends up in in the A tier. Or no, that brings it to 2, which is A. I'm gonna say that 10 more times. He's A. Oh wait, no, still A. And I have to pick one more
you're only
person
at
for us to
9.
talk about. A.
A.
The last person we're going to talk about, and I wasn't necessarily going to pick him, but Jay brought up a good point. We can't leave this show without talking about Wayne Gretzky. I feel like Wayne Gretzky's an S tier. He's not just a Canadian hero. He's one of the greatest athletes of all time, period, across any sport, let alone just in hockey. Gretzky's an A tier or S tier for me. Kyle, where are you putting Gretzky?
I mean, tons of records, right? The production's clearly there. I wouldn't say greatest hockey player of all time. I'm definitely on the Bobby Orr train on that. But I mean, I know Gretzky's got the most goals. I also wouldn't say he's the greatest goal scorer ever. I've actually got a metric called error adjusted goals per game called eager. And I mean, he's not even in the top 10, but
he's not that eager.
But as a passer, as a controller of offense, like as a quarterback for what we consider in hockey, like, he was able to do that really from, in an insane way and really change the game. So yeah, Wayne Gretzky S tier again, even though I don't think he's the best hockey player ever, but I mean, certainly the most prolific in terms of points, and you can't argue with that. And 4-time champion. So yeah, S tier.
2 S tiers. Dan, where are you putting Gretzky? Also, Dan, Jay wanted to let you know Ryan Reynolds isn't a national treasure.
Thank you.
That's Nicholas Cage.
So dumb.
I almost made that joke.
National treasure. He is a national treasure, not he's in it.
I get those confused. I get Nick Cage and Ryan Reynolds confused all the time, Dan. It's okay.
Same
You don't have to
person.
defend
Same
yourself.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for understanding. You're so understanding,
You're
Simon.
Yeah, I try my best. Where are you tiering Wayne Gretzky?
Gretzky deserves to be on the sport Mount Rushmore, so is above S tier. Just put him there.
Okay, above
So
S tier for Dan. John Luke.
Yes.
I don't like hockey, and so for that and that alone, he is B tier. Right there with Michael Cera. Right with Michael Cera, where you belong.
Do you like baseball, JL?
I love baseball.
That explains a lot.
Oh, that's so funny. I was wondering if JL would find a way, did not put Wayne Gretzky in S tier, and he did. He did, and he did.
Right with Michael Cera, where he belongs.
Preposterous. You are preposterous.
I'm channeling my sim energy today.
Josh, where are you putting Wayne
JL
Gretzky?
Chaos is off the rails. Wayne Gretzky's
Yes.
S. All right.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It just has to be.
I just don't want Michael to be alone.
Joe, you tried, but
He's
Wayne
very
Gretzky
sensitive.
ended with a 1.4, which still lands him in the S tier. So
You
despite your
shouldn't be
best
alone. You
efforts,
should be with Beiber. Indeed.
Get out of here, Dan. You're not even supposed to be on the show right now.
Anthony said, Simon,
Fired.
we need
Get out of
an F
here.
tier. We need an F tier before we go. Is there anyone you guys want to put in F
This
tier?
is
Is
so
there
funny.
anyone on that list that you think belongs in F tier that we can put up real quick, or are these all non-F tier?
It's hard to make the argument for F tier for any of these.
I know.
Yeah, because if it's anyone, it's Bieber, right? So like we already kind of missed our chance there.
Yeah.
Did
Right,
anyone
had to be
get
Bieber
a
because
block
anybody.
in?
Can I change my
McLachlan?
answer from
Is that
Bieber to
other
D to
hockey
F?
guy?
Does that change that?
Yeah, it does. I think.
Does that affect the score? Because if so, we can
Okay,
just put him
if
in.
you guys want to move
There
him
we
down,
go.
we
Yeah,
can
there we
move
go.
him
Thank
to
you.
F tier. Scott Fish
Democracy.
said this was our best bracket
Oh, I'll
yet,
put Crosby F tier.
and Jason Crosby F tier.
I hate the
because he's a
Penguins, so
punk.
Crosby deserves to be an F tier.
Crosby F.
Kyle
Crosby
Shagan
F.
said Kyle's about to quit. He's like, I'm never coming back on again.
I mean,
And so
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 Gretzky
we
was
can
at
go
one point
in
the
F.
greatest hockey player in the game, but at one point Sidney Crosby was also the greatest hockey player. So he should actually be S tier as well.
Yeah,
to be
I
honest.
know. He just doesn't have the respect, and he's never earned my respect. That's
Is that the other hockey guy you guys are talking about?
The other
Yeah.
hockey
Oh,
guy.
The other hockey
Taylor
guy.
said, is
Bill
that the other
Crosby?
hockey guy?
You
Yeah,
uncultured
All right,
swine.
let's get it. We're over.
B tier for
Okay,
me.
guys, we
don't
got
have to
caught up
fire
talking
me after
about
this. I quit.
Canadians.
I'm
We
not coming
got
back. I
fired
quit.
up talking about Canadians for a little bit too long there, but there were still plenty of names we didn't address,
That's
and there's
so good.
more that we didn't even put on the list. But that was a pretty fun one, guys. A lot more S tier than we usually have. I feel like I feel like that's kind of funny that this tier list was the one that got the most S tiers out of us. Kyle, I wanted to thank you for coming on and helping us out with these tiers today, wide receivers and famous Canadians. If you guys do not follow Kyle, go follow him on Twitter at Senra Says. And Kyle, tell us again where people can find you and about your show going on tonight.
Yeah, so tonight I'll be on the Going for Two Live network that you could follow along on Twitter at Going for Two Live. And so starting at 7:30, Dynasty Gambit. So I know did a bit of Dynasty talk earlier. It'll be a lot more of that. Actually, tonight, me and my co-host are presenting our most rostered Dynasty players. So on our teams, who do we have? Who are we rostering? Who are we actually spending draft capital on or acquiring in trades? So that'll be fun to see how our teams shake out for that. And then also a podcast with Upside at 9. So definitely check that out tonight on the Going for Two Live network. I also co-host the Full Press Fantasy Pod. You can follow that podcast on Twitter at FPC_fantasypod. Most recent episode had Bob Lung. And I know soon, like in the next month, we'll be getting into our tiers, like the actual position tiers for redraft. Something we do every year on the show, go through each position, one episode each. So look for that coming in all within the next month.
I feel like my most rostered player has to be CEH. That's relevant.
You think so?
I made a lot of trades for him last year because trading makes fantasy fun.
Trading does make fantasy fun.
Go.
And Jay's in here saying Kyle is the best. If you aren't following him, change that. Great analyst and great guy.
He's an analytics genius. Please follow him.
Genius.
Yeah, exactly.
I tried.
Kind words, guys. I appreciate that. Thank you. I love the pun, Josh.
Okay, guys, that's it for us today. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time playing some brackets. But until then, we are out of here. Adios, everybody, and happy Canada Day.